Hello friends, my name is Sleepjie, and today we're going to be taking a trip down memory lane and taking a look at a game which serves as probably one of the best examples as to why you should probably never give your money to early access developers unless you are absolutely sure that they're going to be creating the game. The game that we're going to be taking a look at today is called The Dead Linger. I say take a trip down memory lane because this is actually the 6th anniversary of the video that I made on this game 6 years ago on the 10th of August 2014. It's the 12th of August now, but 2 days ago it was the 6-year anniversary, and I want to see the difference between the video that I made then and the video that I have that I'm making now. The only thing is that this game was actually cancelled in 2015. All development was ceased. So they've obviously not updated it to, you know, any of today's standards. So I just wanted to fire up the game and see if my memory serves me correct about this game. I actually remember it being okay considering it was in alpha, but I was also like 16 years old, or like I guess I was 15 at the time, and I didn't really have much standards for games. But as someone who is now officially graduated from a game development course and I understand how games are made, I think it will just be interesting to take a look at the game from a totally different perspective, and also just to shit on it because I know it's going to be pretty bad. So first off, I thought it would just be a good idea to go back and take a look at the video that I did 6 years ago. It's probably going to cringe me out like bad, but it would be a good idea to just get some perspective on the game from where it was in 2014, because I know it got cancelled a year later, so obviously they probably didn't do too much development in the space of a year's time. But I don't know. Let's just watch the video.
This is a game by Sunswept Studios.
That voice.
It's a kind of like a DayZ type of game. I really hate saying that because no zombie survival game should be referred to as a DayZ type of game.
I still stand by this point. Like, DayZ type games is, at least it was back then, a really common like sort of trope. There were a lot of games like The Dead Linger which were coming out all over the place, which, you know, tried to replicate the massive success that the DayZ game had. Especially when around the time when the standalone came out, you had games like the War Z, which was just like one of the most famous colossal failures. And then you had H1Z1, which sort of had to buy into the whole Battle Royale market because no one really even liked the game as like a sort of standalone zombie game.
Ooh, I'm getting much nicer performance than I had the last time I played this fucking
I had the worst PC at the time that I was recording. I think I was running on like a 1 GB card. It was like, God, I can't even remember the name of it. It was an AMD card. I know that much for sure. And it was a 1 GB card, and it could run Crysis. And I remember being exceptionally happy that it could run Crysis. But apparently, trying to run this game and also record it with Fraps was a bit too much of a task, because it looks like I'm only getting about 20 to 30 FPS here, something like that.
What's this? This is a paper bag. Woo, ooh. Fem's cookies.
God, I tried so hard. Like, I wasn't used to being candid on camera, and I guess I'm still not, even after sort of all of these years of making YouTube videos. I still sort of like slip up a lot, and I have to do numerous takes.
Oh mate, you can ride bikes. Basically Lance Armstrong without like the EPO and the performance enhancing drugs and shit.
Lance Armstrong without the fucking performance enhancing drugs, bro. I was cracked when I was 15. I remember this really tragic UI for the inventory. I wonder if it's still the same.
There's no point in the scope. It doesn't zoom in that. That was a direct hit to the head.
Yeah, it was. What the fuck?
Come on.
What the fuck is this game? Yeah, I remember. So this is another thing that I remember. All of the zombies were just like one model. They had one model for all of the zombies, and I don't know how many they added. But I seem to remember them being that there also being like a fat cop zombie or something along those lines, and a biohazard zombie, like a zombie in just like a full yellow biohazard suit. I don't know. We'll have to see.
The loot in this game isn't like, it's not smartly dropped, is it? I mean, if you think about it, when are you gonna find like a fucking sandstone rifle? That's what they call. I see what they did there with the whole sand thing. But when are you gonna find that in a suburban area?
I don't know, bro. Like, it is in America. I'm pretty sure you can find them all over the place, actually.
Oh great. It's field.
It's a fucking field, bro.
It's a fucking field.
I was so fucking cringe. Oh, that's great. Now I have to play the game now. This is going to be awesome. Oh, that's right. Okay, so, yeah, if you can, like, in the top right-hand corner, it says UE4 Update 5. They actually ported this game from I think it was the Unity engine that we're working on originally, and they spent a long time porting it over to Unreal Engine. So there is a very good chance that the game that I played 6 years ago is probably nothing like the game that we're about to play now. Not yet available. Never will be available. Let's see, multiplayer, is there any? Nope, no servers found. That's not surprising in the slightest. Okay, so we can make worlds. Advanced, not yet available. Okay. Fuck knows, mate. Let's enter a world. Hello? Okay. I can't move. That's a great start. Oh, there we go. Okay. That doesn't look great at all, does it? I mean, let's be honest. This doesn't look good. I have a great PC now. Like, this has to be the game. There is no way that my PC isn't capable of running this game at over 30 FPS. What the fuck? Okay, so at least the zombies have clothes now. You know, that's good. There's some slight variation. I mean, the torso's kind of peeking out from under the cloth a little bit there. And I don't know what those shoulder pads are supposed to be. Is it E? C? I remember it being C. Yeah, it's C. Okay. Is the two doors? Like, I'm actually gonna die. Holy shit! Is my mouse sensitivity not high enough or something? Why can't I open any of these doors? All right, I guess we'll try someplace. Oh, this is great. Okay, yeah, I'm liking this. Okay, what about in here? Okay, that door opens just fine. Hammer. Okay, cool. It's just like it was 6 years ago. Obviously, I'm not looking at this game from the perspective of someone who is like reviewing this game and recommending whether you should or should not buy it. Don't buy it. It's like, this game is dead. I paid £15 for it, and I honestly wish that I had the hindsight of knowing that this game was going to die so that I just would have got a refund. Okay, am I trapped in here now? Oh no, like, objects just have no physics. Okay, riot pants, here we go. And some cargo pants. Oh, we stacked the pants. And a Farmington double. How do I change my weapon? Do I have it equipped? No. Crafting not yet available. That's just perfect, isn't it? Like, all of these DayZ type games have some sort of crafting feature, and this is the one game that doesn't have it. That's great. I hear 2 shells go in. Magazine is full. I shoot once. I have no ammo. One thing that sort of irritates me about games like this, obviously not this game in particular because, I mean, come on. But one thing that just annoyed me about games like H1Z1 and, you know, DayZ and everything is that unless they were online, because online interactions with other players are sort of, you know, where you get your kicks from those sorts of games, the whole, you know, Bandit vs Survivor like dynamic, is that in single player there doesn't ever sort of seem to be any, I don't know, reason to play it. Like, there's no narrative here, like, or anything even resembling a narrative, which, you know, would have been a good addition to have. Are we playing Super Mario Brothers now or something? Like, oh, okay, I'm T-posing. Okay. You can definitely tell that this game is a product of its time. Like, back in 2015, I think it was in 2015 that Jim Sterling had the whole Slaughtering Grounds debacle, where the developers of the Slaughtering Grounds, which was this indie asset flip rip-off game, they tried suing Jim Sterling for, like, slandering them or something like that, and it was a very long court case, which Jim Sterling ended up winning. And it was just around that time that, like, that case in particular sort of served as, like, you know, the bona fide example as to why early access and sort of, like, Steam Greenlight and all of those things are just, like, so easily abusable. And I'm not saying that Sandswept Studios, you know, were abusing you know, the goodwill of like fans or anything like that. Like, it was an early access game, and they said right from the start, you know, this is an early access game. It's going to take a very long time to develop, and I'm sure they had, you know, good reasons for abandoning the development. I don't know if they just ran out of money, or if they overscoped their project, or if they just wanted to work on something else, because they'd been working on it for like 4 years or something like that, and they never really got around to, I mean, obviously, you know, take a look, they never really got around to making it anywhere near close to finished. But there are lots of games like the Dead Linger, which were around at the time, which, you know, developers would make something of this, you know, quality, just something that was just like half-baked, half-finished, and then they would like sort of maliciously just like leave it undone and just run off with all of the money because, you know, they'd made money. They don't need to work on it anymore. They're not going to get any more from it, so... And again, I'm not saying that's what Sandswept did. From my understanding, I genuinely think they did just run out of budget for the game and they decided to cancel it because they couldn't pay the developers or whatever. I could be totally wrong on that. If anyone from Sandswept ever sees this video, then, you know, get in touch with me and let me know the story. But from what I can tell, it looks like they definitely overscoped their budget a lot, because I remember looking at the development logs for this game on the Sandswept website, and occasionally I say occasionally, like, I'd very frequently see things like new concept art for new assets, which never ended up making it to the game. And so you know, you could definitely see that they had a lot of ideas, and I think that in them trying to implement all of those ideas all at once, they just, you know, ran out of space, and they found that they just couldn't do it. And, you know, it's something that happens to a lot of developers, myself included. You know, when I was going through my degree, I'd have projects and I'd have all of these like cool ideas for what I want to do for them in my mind, and then when it actually came down to making them, and I mean, most of the time I was just like a sort of one-man development team, so it's a little bit different for me because I could rein in my ideas pretty well, and like I wouldn't have to rein in anyone else's ideas. But if you're a game developer who's actually working on a video game and you have a bunch of people around you and you have cool ideas and they all have cool ideas, it can be very easy to let those ideas just run away with you, and eventually you end up with something like this, where, you know, they plan to have a lot of cool features like crafting and, you know, custom world building and all of that good stuff, but it never ends up going anywhere. Either you overexert yourself working on one idea and neglect to give another any attention, or you neglect to give any of them any attention because there's just so many that you don't have any breathing room or anywhere to any direction. It's a very common problem. Just looking for a bike at this point. I want to ride the bike again. I want to be Lance Armstrong. I find it so strange that they took the time to try and import everything into Unreal Engine 4, because actually, you know what, that could have been one of the reasons why this game ended up dying and the developers stopped working on it, because, like, as someone who's worked in both Unreal and Unity Engine, I'm much more of a Unity Engine kind of guy. I just like how easy it is to use compared to Unreal Engine, but like, they are two totally different tools, and I think that they tried for a very long time to put all of their ideas into Unity Engine, and they thought that Unreal Engine would somehow accommodate those ideas a lot better, so they tried to move everything along. And, you know, what you have now is this, where, you know, like, a lot of the models don't really have correct UVs. None of the zombies sort of have, like, correct AI. I mean, they just sort of stand there, not really reacting to, like, anything I do. I mean, he's sort of like shambling towards me, I guess, but it's very easy to see that the move to Unreal Engine hurt this game, and I think it was a very dangerous move for them to try and switch engines, because, I mean, like, switching engines it's a tough gig, especially if you're used to working with one programming language. I know Unity is a C# and then it has its own, you know, scripting databases and API and everything. And working with Unreal Engine, which, I mean, I've never tried to code anything on Unreal Engine. I doubt I ever will. Purely just because, like, A, I hate programming, and B, I think Unreal Engine scares me, to be quite honest with you. But blueprints seem fairly easy enough to work with. But if you try and, you know, port Unity code into Unreal Engine, I can only imagine what an absolute arse on that would have been. It could be possible that they even just tried to code everything again from scratch. I don't know. But either way, the point still stands that it's very easy to see that changing everything over to Unreal Engine was not a good idea for this game. And I think that if they didn't do it, maybe the game would still have been alive for another year or two. I don't know. See, I bought this game when it was in the Unity engine, and at least shit like this didn't happen. And the thing about when you buy early access games is that, I can't remember who said it. No, Internet Historian said it on the video on No Man's Sky. Prices set expectations. And when he said that and he explained it, I'll leave a link down in the description of the video. You should definitely watch it. It's a fucking great video. But he's totally correct. He said prices set expectations. You know, if you're buying a game for, you know, like 60, 50 pounds, it better be fucking worth 60 or 50 pounds. And for a 15-pound game, like, the game back then didn't exactly meet my expectations of what it, you know, was going to be or anything like that. But I thought, you know, it's an early access game. I was sort of proud to be just helping a small development team out and, you know, contributing towards the development of the game. But like, the game was out for another year after that when they moved to Unreal Engine. And, like, if you bought the game for £15 in this state, like, the sheer laziness. The texture is floating above the car. It's a decal. They just slapped a decal on the roof. Is it the same here as well? Is this actually modeled? Okay, I can't tell. I'm pretty sure that's modeled on, but whatever. I know I said I wouldn't rag on this game too much. I mean, it is dead. It's been dead for a long time, and I've sort of already went over the reasons why it might have died in the first place. But, like, playing it now, I'm sort of just getting a little bit annoyed at the fact that they charge people money for this. And I'm not even just talking about the fact that, you know, there's no crafting mode or anything like that. I'm just talking about, like, the blatant laziness on behalf of the developers. Like, what is this? I get that this building's supposed to be modular so that they just, like, you know, stack on top of each other and you can just sort of generate really high, you know, high buildings as a result. But, like, no variation in any of the texturing. The seams are very obvious between the textures. And overall, it just looks like this looks something I would have made in my first year of university. That's how lazy this looks. Wait, is that? Okay, it's a white house. Could this be Pleasant Wood? Oh my god, we're back in Pleasant Wood. I think this is actually one of the houses that you could find in the original game. Holy shit, that's cool. Well, I think this is just about as perfect a place to, you know, to leave the video as any. We're back in Pleasant Wood, right where we started. So, final thoughts on the game then, I suppose. I mean, obviously it's never going to go anywhere. It's been dead for the last 5 years, but, like, it has actually annoyed me coming back on this game and realizing that they probably made quite a bit of money on the goodwill of people who thought that they were going to be, you know, supporting, you know, early access developers like I once was, and they get this in return. I mean, see, games like this are why I think forgiveness culture is a pretty bad thing, and let me explain what I mean by that. We've seemed to have developed this culture around games where you can make a very bad game and put it out there and get money for it, and then just, like, sort of go on, you know, the expectation that, oh, I'll add stuff to it eventually, or it'll be good one day. And that's what early access kind of was to begin with. It was, you know, developers releasing games which were unfinished, but that, you know, they wanted some money to continue the development of the games. And that money, you know, in a lot of cases really helped us. There's lots of really good early access games which ended up being really good products. I mean, just look at Starbound. I'm not sure. I think Starbound was an early access game originally, and then it hit 1.0, and it's one of my favorite games of all time now. I love it. Would you shut the fuck up, please? And there's also developers like Bethesda who release a game broken, unfinished, buggy, and then they get lots of money for it, and they just sort of go on the assumption that, oh, it'll be okay, we'll earn the fans' respect back because in 2 years' time we're going to add lots of content to the game, and people are going to be like, oh, Fallout 76 is a pretty good game now. Because that way the story stays relevant across time. If you release a bad game first, then it gets lots of attention because everyone just dogpiles it because it's bad. But then, you know, 2 years later, the people still continue to talk about it, like, oh, Fallout 76, is that still bad or is it good now? Should I buy it? Whereas if it was just released as a good game, you know, in a playable state, then people would have been like, oh yeah, Fallout 76, that's a good game. And then they wouldn't have talked about it across time. And I feel like we don't crack down on it enough. And this whole argument is sort of convoluted and it's been a bit of a rant, but essentially all I'm trying to say is don't give in to shit like this. Don't give in to shit like Fallout 76. Don't give in to shit that you know is or at least you think you know, is probably not going to be, you know, anywhere near done in 2 or 3 years' time. And early access is all well and good, and, you know, it has, like, as I said before, it has helped a lot of developers, you know, hit the ground running with a lot of their projects, but it's also just helped a lot of thieves get away with what is essentially fraud. I'm very glad I came back to this game, you know, 6 years later. It's been a bit of an eye-opening experience. As someone who wants to work in the video game industry one day, I mean, this degree I have has to go somewhere. I mean, I hope that if I do eventually end up on like an indie development team, then we at least make something that isn't anything like the Dead Linger. Thank you very much for watching. That's all I have to say about this video game. Just be careful where you put your money, and I'll see you guys soon.